Hello YouTube, today we're taking a look at my Quechua NH100 hiking shoes from Decathlon. Is it Quechua? 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 Them, from Decathlon. Now Quechua, if you're not familiar, is Decathlon's own brand of hiking gear, and the NH100 hiking shoes are their entry-level hiking shoes. So that's what these are here, and that's what we'll be taking a look at today. Don't quote me on this, but I think when it comes to Decathlon products, the 100 number basically refers to the level of the equipment. So 100 is going to be kind of the base level, 300 for example might be like a mid-level, and 500 is going to be like a top level product. I've owned these NH100s for nearly a year now, must be about 11 months. I think I bought them in October of 2023. They've done me well on my adventures. You've seen plenty of these on my channel because I wear them for most of my hikes, to be honest. So I thought I'd do a little review on these because they only cost me £19. And I think if you can get a good pair of hiking shoes for £19, then why wouldn't you? Now you can see these are pretty dirty, pretty well used. These have actually become my go-to hiking shoes throughout the kind of the spring and summer, even really starting in the winter of last year. So much so that these actually live in the boot of my car, so I'm always ready to get out on an impromptu hike whenever the mood takes me. Now I got the carbon grey ones. They had a few other colour options, but basically these were the cheapest and I didn't really care about the colour. And I think they look pretty good. They're not going to be winning any style awards anytime soon, but then neither am I, so it's probably a good match. Now the first thing I want to say with these is the sizing options on them are great. And I think that's kind of across the brand for Decathlon shoes really. I'm a size 12 normally, but with hiking shoes and hiking boots, I always get half size up, I go for a 12.5. That's because when you hike, your feet actually swell up slightly, and so if I'm wearing a 12, I always find my toes bashing against the end of the shoe on long hikes, and especially on long descents as well, kind of coming down a mountain, something like that. So I would go half size up just to avoid that happening. But it's really difficult to get half sizes, anything above 11.5 in most places and in most shoe brands. So I quite often have to go for a 13. But these, they come in a 12.5. So that's actually really good sizing from Decathlon because it caters to more hikers. They've got a 4.3 star rating on Decathlon's website from about 10,500 reviews. So I expect there are plenty of reviews out there about this shoe, most of them from people who are much more knowledgeable and charismatic than I am. But I've done the best part of a year's worth of hiking in these, and I'll go out on a limb and say that I bet I do more hiking than the average person. So I think I'm qualified to give my 2 cents worth on these shoes. First thing with these, they're light. I don't know exactly how much they weigh, but you can't tell by me doing that, but that's what people do in these reviews. They're very light, they feel really good on your feet, especially if you're covering long distances in them. I've done a few pretty long hikes in these and they've always been very comfortable, never given me any blisters whatsoever. They almost feel like a running shoe when you've got them on actually, and if you've ever worn running trainers you'll know exactly what I mean. They just feel more comfortable and cushioned and padded than a normal shoe, but also very light. And yeah, that's the same with these really, same as running shoe in that regard. Although I've never tried running in these, maybe I should give that a go. A bit of trail running. Now the laces. I've seen a couple of videos where people have moaned about the laces on these, but honestly I've not had any issues with them. They don't come undone while I'm hiking. Like I said, I've not done any running in them, so maybe that's a little bit different if you do try running in these. But the only thing I will say about them is that they're quite thin compared to the laces on a lot of boots and stuff that I've had in the past. So I guess maybe if you're kind of pulling them really hard, when you're doing them up, they might break or they might start to weaken over time. But like I say, I've been using these for the best part of a year, and yeah, there's no kind of signs of wear and tear on the laces at all. I've not had any issues with them, so for me, no issue there whatsoever. The insole, if I can get it out, can be removed. So if you've got one of those kind of orthopedic insoles, you can put that in there and use that while you're hiking. I've just got the standard one that comes with it, but it gives you another option to kind of customize the shoe to the way you want it. I can't get it back in now though. There we go. Yeah, that's back in. Now the rubber on the sole is cross contact. Every brand has their own version and their own name. This is Quechua's. The grip from the sole is really good. especially when I'm kind of clambering around on rock surfaces, especially the wet rocks up on Dartmoor. Some of the granite on the tors, when it gets really wet, it gets very slippery, and even my hands will be slipping on the granite, but these always give really good grip on the wet rocks. The downside for me for the grip is when you get into the mud, deeper mud especially, they do tend to slide around a little bit. I've almost come a cropper a couple of times on Dartmoor wearing these when I've been walking through muddy areas. Careful. As I slipped a little bit just then. Wasn't on a rock, it was on a bit of mud, but there you go. Now the upper isn't marketed as waterproof, so it's only technically waterproof up to here, but I've walked through puddles covering all this bit, even covering where the laces are, and my feet and my socks inside haven't got wet. So if it's not waterproof, it's certainly water resistant. The only issue I've had with water with these is when I've been hiking in the rain and it's leaked down my legs into the shoes. Or when I've been walking through long dewy grass in the mornings. Again, it gets over the top of the shoe. That's a situation where a boot would be better. The only issue when these do get wet is that, as with any kind of hiking boot or hiking shoe, and I'm sure you've all experienced it before, they stink for days afterwards while they dry. But fortunately, my neighbours actually came up with a really good solution for this. I don't know if this is some kind of old wives' tale, but it really does work. What you do is you bring them inside in the dry, and you take an onion and cut it in half and put half in each shoe. Give it 24 hours, and yeah, it will completely get rid of the smell. And I know what you're thinking, but the shoes won't smell like a burger van afterwards. Now, after about 11 months of use, there are a few small signs of wear and tear. A loose thread here, a strand of rubber coming off the sole there. But these are minor things that I barely even see as an issue. I can't even begin to work out how many miles I've done in these over the course of the last year, and some small signs of wear and tear are perfectly natural. And to be honest, I think it doesn't matter how much you've paid for shoes. If you're putting lots of miles in through harsh conditions, harsh terrain, you're going to see some signs of wear and tear after 11 months of use. So all in all, for £19, I think they're a great buy. I love these shoes. They're plain, they're simple, but they get the job done. A little bit like me. They're marketed more as a summer hiking shoe, and as autumn is starting to kick in here in Devon, I'm investing in a pair of boots to get me through the winter. That doesn't mean these are going in the cupboard until next year. I think even in the winter these would be good for walking, especially if it's more trail-based or road-based. It's just for those muddy tracks, wet walks and bog hopping across Dartmoor, you really want a pair of boots, especially for the winter months. So yeah, I think these are a great hiking shoe, especially if you're hiking on a budget. For £19, I don't think you can go wrong. And like I say, I've got a year's worth of use out of these already, and by the looks of it, they'll go for another year easy. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you found some of this useful. I'll see you again soon for another adventure. Cheers.